You're watching Fun Convention TV at the 57th Annual Fun Convention in Orlando. Fun Convention TV welcomes Hobo Nickel carver Adam Leech.
Hello.
We met last year at the Fun Show when you trekked down to Fun, hobo style. Tell us a bit about your experience.
Oh, what an experience it was. Well, I left Colorado Springs on New Year's Day, first thing in the morning, and 5.5 days later I found myself at the gates of Disneyland waiting for Rollie Taylor, president of Hobo Nickel Society, to come pick me up and take me to the Fun Show. And in between were about 12 different truck drivers, a few hobo jungles, and a ride with a van full of Mexican migrant roofers. Just more adventure than anybody should be able to cram into 5.5 days. So it was the experience of a lifetime, really. We overall traveled 2,200 miles, trading hobo nickels for rides and food and places to stay.
And during the time that you were traveling down, you were actually filming a documentary called A Nickel and a Nail.
Yeah, we were. I was traveling with my friend Jim Dziura, who's a filmmaker from LA, fairly well known in his scene for music videos and some documentaries he's done on rock and roll bands and famous wrestlers. Hulk Hogan. He's done films about the Ramones and the band Flogging Molly. And I met him when he was in college in Colorado Springs, and we kind of hit it off. So I called him up one day and said, hey Jim, you want to hitchhike to Florida next January and go to a coin show? And he had been collecting hobo nickels for a little while, and when I had heard that, I had been carving for a little while, and we just thought, what a great idea. So he flew into Colorado Springs, and we hit the road, started filming, and are working on a little film called A Nickel and a Nail, the original Hobo Nickel Story.
And that is due, it's still in production, but when do you expect a release date?
It is. Well, last year we filmed so much, and basically with hobo nickels, the more you learn, the less you know. So we got great footage. But I realized I had to come back out this year and kind of wrap up the loose ends, and if all goes well, we should be premiering next January at the Fun Show. The goal would be to screen the film and have it for an official release on the 100-year anniversary of the Buffalo Nickel. Coincides with the 100-year anniversary of the Hobo Nickel. So.
And nickel carving is obviously a labor of love, because I've seen your children carving at the Fun Show today.
It is. It's the kind of thing where nobody really knows that it exists, and then you discover it. Somebody goes, hey, have you ever heard of a hobo nickel? You say, what the heck is that? You see one, and you pick up a nickel, and you look, and it's not an Indian, it's a hobo. And you go, oh my God, that's like, I didn't know you could even do that. Are you allowed to do that? Isn't it illegal? And 1,000 questions run through your head, and so my personal experience was I saw a magazine article about Bob Shamey, and he has the world's record for the smallest hobo chain. He carved 17 links on a toothpick, and they had a picture of a John Wayne hobo nickel, and I just thought, this is the greatest thing I've ever heard of in my life. You take a nickel, you carve it, you mess it up, and then you sell it for more money. So I spent about 6 months asking everybody I could if they had any hobo nickels at coin dealers, flea market vendors, antique shops, and at least 90% of the people I talked to either scratched their head and said, what the heck's a hobo nickel? Or they'd said, yeah right, kid, we don't have any hobo nickels. And so I set out to learn how to carve them myself, and I carved about 5 of the ugliest, most mangled coins you could ever imagine, and by about the 10th coin I thought, I might actually be able to pull this off. So I've been carving for a little over 3 years now, and it's something I'm confident I will do for the rest of my life. My kids carve with me. They carved some coins that make me feel like,
inferior.
what am I doing? This is, you know, like, I'll just get out of the way and let them carve. And but it's really the kind of thing, I've been saying it all weekend, but it's like getting bit by a vampire. You can't turn back, you know. It's just, it gets in your blood and you're stuck with it. So yeah, I think it is a labor of love, but at the same time, it's a hobby that pays for itself almost instantly. So you know you've got a good thing if your hobbies can pay for themselves.
That's true. Now, we talked about what brought you to the Fun Show in 2010. What brings you here this time? You're doing some interviewing for the film?
I am. I'm finishing up. Really, when we concocted the whole cockamamie scheme to get down here, I thought, well, we'll just film it and put a little short film together about us. It was going to be a movie about me. And I realized once we got here, I met my first batch of other carvers, and I thought, this can't be about me. I'm just a drop in the ocean of Hobo Nickel carving. And so we filmed as much as we possibly could, and then I realized that there's 100 years of history that we're trying to fit into this film. So I'm back here to tie up the loose ends and make sure that everybody who needs to be in the film has their voice. And I want it to be as complete a picture as we can possibly tell at this point. But I also know as soon as the film is done and people see it, a new wave of information is going to come out. Similar to when the book came out in the 80s, the Hobo Nickel, Del Romine wrote a fantastic book, but he was writing on a subject that was completely hidden from the world. So as soon as it was published, a new wave of information started flooding into him, and so they had to update the book in the 90s with the rest of the information. But even now, you know, all the experts, they think, and I tend to agree, that the vast majority of Hobo Nickels and information about who created them is locked up in family heirlooms. They're the kind of coins where they don't strike you as something that would be priceless, so it's more of a novelty. So, you know, Grandpa worked a farm and the hobos would come and he'd have some Hobo Nickels from helping them out in the teens or 20s, and when he passes away, the family gets all the coins and they sell the gold and silver, but here's this weird coin with this ugly guy scratched into it, and it can't be valuable, so you throw it back in the drawer, and it's just a family heirloom. And so most people who own Hobo Nickels don't even know what they own. They think, oh, this is a crude little defaced, you know, mutilated coin. And so what I'm really hoping is that as people see this film, they'll go, oh, Grandma Betty had one of those. I've got one in the drawer. And then they'll go to Hobo Nickel societies to try and flush these out, so we can start figuring out who carved them, when they were carved, and why they were carved. And most of the information right now is theory, and some of it is logical, so we accept it. Like, you know, a hobo carved a coin because he had a nickel, and that's all he had. He had some extra time, and he was hungry. So carve it and try and get a meal. Or you need a place to stay, carve a coin, or thank someone for helping you. And it's really a thoughtful way to thank somebody that doesn't cost a lot of money. Although a nickel in the Great Depression could buy you, you know, a value meal, or essentially, you know, you had $5. And so it took a little bit of gusto to start hacking into those coins. And early on, you know, it was a defaced coin, so you had to pass them off if you were trying to spend it. But there are stories of Hobo Nickels popping up in cash registers and all the way, you know, through the Depression. And so if we can track down some of those people and some of those stories and put names to the coins, it's just a history that I feel has to be recorded now, because already most of the people involved have passed and that information is gone. So the more we can locked down now, the better. And I really hope that this film is a positive step in that direction.
Well, I want to thank you very much for taking the time out of your busy day today to talk to Fun Convention TV. And we do hope to see you here next year at the Fun Show.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Adam. Have a great day. Fun Facts Fast. You've been watching Fun Convention TV. Visit Fun Forums for fun show updates, videos, articles, photos, and more. Fun Forums, it just makes sense. This video is the property of Fun, Florida United Numismatist. Re-editing or use without prior consent is strictly prohibited.